Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that we're going to cover today is something that you guys asked me to look into. This whole gun training center, Vermont arrest, $1,000 fines, $100,000 fines. Training, there's something going on here that just seems very odd, and we're going to break it down right now. Everything will be linked in the description box below, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think about this one and what your true thoughts are, because this is convoluted to say the best. Now, of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. We are distributing freedom twice daily, and we would love to have you along for the ride. Thank you so much in advance for your consideration, and the content today is brought to you by Private Internet Access. This is a platform that I use, and I think you should as well. Now, Private Internet Access is the world's most transparent VPN provider. With over 30 million downloads, they never record or store user data, and their no logs policy has been proven multiple times in court and by a third-party audit from Deloitte. Now, the way that a VPN works is you turn it on from either your mobile or your desktop, and now you can access the internet from anywhere, but you also have complete anonymity. Imagine a pipe is going from your friend's house to your house with the internet going back and forth. If it's transparent, you can see all the data that's going in that pipe, government, hackers, or corporations. If you replace that with a steel pipe with no light going through, it's completely protected, and that is what a VPN can do for your data and yourself. The VPN works with all major streaming services, so you can access more content than ever but from anywhere before in the entire world. Signing up for Private Internet Access is risk-free. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, and 24/7 customer support is available. Click the link in the description box below, and you can get a 83% discount, which comes out to $2.03 per month, and there's 4 months completely free. It's in the description box right down there, and thank you to Private Internet Access. All right, my brothers and sisters, as I mentioned in the introduction, a lot of you emailed me, a lot of you reached out in the comments and said, hey, what's going on with this Vermont thing with this guy who's training people with the Second Amendment getting arrested, pending destruction of his property, and there's a lot of stuff here. It just doesn't jive. So we're going to break down the why, and I'm going to show you a few of the things that I found, because up until the very end of this does not seem like a Second Amendment issue until you look at the law that they're citing but not using. This is where it gets really weird, and make sure that you check out Tim and I's episode on the same content that we filmed today on Second Legacy. This is weird. Let's dive in. Like I said, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments field, but let's hit it. Judge orders arrest of gun training center owner in Vermont. Okay, so right off the gate, that sounds like there's an aggressive action being taken towards a Second Amendment community or member of the community. But listen to the previous lead-ins here, and this is where it kind of goes off the rails, because it doesn't set up as a Second Amendment infringement or attack. It sets up as something else. Check this out. This was published yesterday. A judge on Thursday ordered the owner of a controversial firearms training center in Vermont arrested until he proves that parts of the 30-acre facility have been removed or demolished. So right off the get, that sounds like an attack on a gun range. But listen, the property, known as Slate Ridge, includes multiple buildings and 2 firing ranges on land about the size of 30 football fields or 12 hectares. Fueled by complaints from neighbors, the town of Paulette has attempted unsuccessfully for several years to get the facility owner, Daniel Bonnier, to remove structures he built without a permit. Now, this is where it gets fascinating, because they're going after the permitting scheme of the individual state, or not state in this case the city. So off the bat, it seems like they're going after him not for the actual use of the land, which would be gun ranges, but the fact that things were developed without building permits. That's what it's setting up as. But again, it has a very weird destination. Let's continue. I want to show you everything here. The order from the Vermont Environmental Court, that's in part important, Environmental Court, it's a very interesting court when they're talking about what they're talking about, is the latest attempt to hold Bonnier accountable after he accrued more than $100,000 in fines so far this year. The arrest, which can be carried out by a constable or county sheriff, must happen in the next 60 days. Now, right there, that's saying that he's going to be arrested for the outstanding hundreds of thousands of dollars of fines for building improvements on his land without a permitting scheme. I'm not talking about if that should or should not be a requirement. What I'm saying is this whole story is based around permitting. It happens to be a gun range or a gun facility, but it's around permitting. Unless there's something else there, which we're getting to in a second, because this, Like I said, there's a lot of really weird nuances, but we're going to walk through this as best I can. So the history here, in April of 2021, Bonnier describes his property to the Associated Press as a safe and environmentally friendly place for people to discharge their firearms. The facility also offers lessons in first aid and anything to do with the outdoors and firearms. Environmentally friendly. See how environmentally keeps popping up? This seems to me to be around permitting and environmental permitting and testing and impact studies. That's what this sounds like. This does not sound like immediately because it's a gun range, they're going after them. It sounds like it's permitting and all the different fines coming from an environmental court. But again, wait until the end when I show you the law that they're incorporating. This is where it gets weird. In 2019, the town first issued a violation notice to Bonnier for building a number of structures on the property without town zoning approval. In March of 2021, the environmental court ordered Bonnier to end any firearms training at the center and remove unpermitted structures. There it is again, unpermitted structures. It sounds like the unpermitted structures are the problem, not the firearms training, until you get to the end, which we're almost there, because this is the law that they passed recently. In response to Slate Ridge, Vermont State Senator Philip Baruth, a Democrat and progressive from Burlington, introduced a bill in the legislature this year to ban paramilitary training centers in the state. The bill passed and was signed in May by Republican Governor Phil Scott. That's this year. But again, listen to what the bill does, and now explain to me why they're going after it from a permitting angle. Violators face up to 5 years in prison or a fine of up to $50,000 or both, according to the law. It prohibits a person from teaching, training, or demonstrating to anyone else the use, application, or making of a firearm. Use or application of a firearm. That sounds like it's illegal to train anyone for the use of a firearm. Now, there's a little point here as I continue. Let's see. Firearm, explosive or incendiary device capable of causing injury or death that will be used in or in furtherance of a civil disorder. It also bans a person from assembling with others for such training, instruction, or practice. Now, this is a very poorly worded law because it sounds like it's illegal to use or use the application of a firearm. But then later on it says in a semblance for furtherance of a civil disorder. Now, what's a civil disorder? That's not what I'm doing this, but that's what they're citing here. So now, let's zoom this out a little bit more. The entire article in the case that we just covered and I showed you was all about permitting, environmental studies. It was all about building permits. It was about outstanding hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fines. And then at the very end, we get thrown in here about this law about paramilitary training, but they're not executing this one. They're not pursuing that law, even though it was signed on all the books this year. They're going after permitting requirements from the city level. Something about this stinks. I can't really tell what's actually going on here because while the initial reaction is to jump at a gun range is being discriminated against and being destroyed, I want to know why they aren't citing the existing law that they're saying is perfectly constitutional. Tim, on the second legacy video we did, made an interesting point. What if they didn't want to file it under that law because then it would be taken to court and be struck down immediately? Is the hundreds of thousands of dollars of fine and building, permitting, and fines and scheme, is that just a smokescreen for what they really want to get rid of, which is that law, but they can't use because it's unconstitutional? Or is it actually just boiled down to building, permitting, and hundreds of thousands of dollars of EPA fines from the environmental court? Or is it a mixture of both, and this is the only way that they can get guns out of their community because they didn't want them, but they had to use the bureaucratic means because infringing upon a business for their actual business, which is legal and lawful, is unconstitutional and illegal. There's a lot going on here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments field below. Did I miss something? Did I land this plane? You guys got to help me out on this one because this is a weird one. And I will see you on the next video. I'm Braden. See you later.